also got our retired FBI agent Maureen O'Connell joining us now. Maureen, jump on in here on what you just heard in that news conference. What struck you?
Well, I think there is a lot of work going on behind the scenes. The fact that they can't get into the cameras is actually not that uncommon. I have a business where I put cameras in and we look at cameras and people get cameras installed and then they have no idea how to even access them. They don't practice it. So I heard last night on a podcast that the sheriff did that he said they're not even sure if the cameras right now are cloud-based, which was pretty surprising. So, but they are going to the companies. The companies will be able to tell them how it's set up, who has access, and you know whose email address is attached to the account, et cetera. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on. Also, with the geofencing of the devices, and not just the cell phones. If the offender had on an Apple Watch or anything else, they're going to do. The FBI is doing geofencing the day before the event happened, and at around the same time, and the night that the offense occurred, and then they're going to look for differentiation in there. From that point, they're going to expand out for days or even weeks in advance to see if someone was casing the house or anything along those lines. In my opinion, based on years of experience and looking at this location, this isn't something that someone just happened upon. I would be shocked if that was in fact the case. I think maybe this person met Nancy and just thought she was lovely, talked to her and realized she was there alone, and who knows what happened from there. So once they expand out at different times of day and or over the, for the past week or so, they may come up with devices that didn't belong in that area or people they should in fact question. But there's just 18 different or maybe 25 different things going on at once right now. And the DNA, the sheriff also said in a podcast he did late last night that they have submitted DNA and they put a rush on it, and that usually takes 5 to 10 days. But that DNA, if it's rapid DNA, and if the offender is not in the system, then they have to go to forensic genetic genealogy, which is a whole nother can of worms, and that is not a quick process.
No, as we saw with Brian Kohberger, and the Kohberger case also brings up this idea of cell phones that aren't usually in the area coming in and going out of the area. I'm sure that they're looking at that. But in terms of why you would abduct an 84-year-old woman, I mean, it's a lovely house that she lives in there, in a lovely neighborhood. We don't know if there was anything of value inside the house, whether there might have been jewelry or artwork or whatever that might have been targeted. But our understanding from the sheriff's news conferences is it didn't look like a robbery, didn't look like anything of value was taken. He said that there were just signs that this was a crime scene. So again, we come back to the question of, why do you abduct an 84-year-old woman?
There are a number of reasons for that, and none of them are good. And I'm not going to extrapolate out on that right now. It's not, it's awful. The fact that an 84-year-old woman was ripped from her bed between 1 and 4 a.m., I just cannot even imagine what this family is going through. I mean, this is the worst situation any of us could imagine for a parent that we love.
Our hearts break for this family and what they must be going through, Maureen, and we understand the emotions behind what you're saying. You've seen a lot. And obviously there are a lot of things that could have played out here, a lot of scenarios that could be happening right now, and it's a tough investigation, and we have very few details right now, which makes this even harder. Maureen, thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say that question that John proposed is a good one. Why was she removed from the house?
Right.
That is the main question, and there are only a few answers, and none of them are good. There's no reason for them to take her from that home unless it's just the worst possible reason.
Our hearts break for the family. Maureen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maureen.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.